Hi, welcome to Petals on Water, the integration part 2. I'm probably going to be a little distracted. I have a co-host tonight. You gonna look at him, pretty boy. This is Mr. O'Malley. He's not going to look at you. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, I guess, kind of the backstory, because I haven't talked about my altars. Basically, when I was in middle school, I went to a therapist and we discussed, like, to help me process some of the things I was really upset about. Um, she had me imagine a place that felt safe, but then she had me imagine the person at the age that I had been hurt um, there, and to talk to them and apologize to them. And she was always a little thrown because she was like, you are really, really, like, you are imagining this, like, just so spot on. Like, you are having no issue with this whatsoever. She ended up having me draw the person, and then I think I ended up later drawing the person, the little Maria, as I called her, the little Maria and her protectors, or the people around her, later. But basically, like, that was probably my first run in with my altars without realizing it. Because, like I said, she was really amazed at the way it went. Like, there was just no issue whatsoever. And of course, I didn't think much about it. So so yeah, so a lot of these people I drew years ago. I think the drawing of their protectors came when I was her protectors came when I was in high school. The only thing that didn't make a lot of sense to me was periodically there was this little blonde girl, almost a la Madeline, and she would run across the back of my mind, and it was like in a darkly lit street with like one of the old street lamps. And I would see her dart across the back of my head like regularly, and I didn't know who she was because it's a little blonde girl, and like I don't have any memories of that. Um, and she didn't seem to serve a purpose, like a metaphorical representation of something that I needed, type of deal. Um, or if she was, I couldn't figure out where she belonged. So basically, this is where I think I really actually met some of my altars. The reason why this is kind of crucial is the integration took place between the little blonde girl who would run across the back of my head and an altar that was called Patience. And Patience was actually in charge of little Maria. Well, what happened was that when I discovered my altars, um, one of the first ones to actually like step forward and really come out was little Maria. Patience and little Maria were some of the first two. Or the first few, sorry. And they were a pair. Now, I didn't know this immediately. This came up later. Um, so, Patience was for little Maria. Well, one of the things that happened was that when little Maria came out, like, she was super excited and super happy, and she wanted tea, and she wanted her little kitty mug. And what we found out was, because Patience would make the tea, and Patience would say that, yeah, I make the tea, she really likes it, this is her thing, and I make it for her. And yeah, I know, just pretend for a second that you know that they're real. These are like my roommates, basically, because that's what they are. um I think they call them headmates, but it might be easier for you to imagine them as actual roommates. So So Patience would make the tea. Well, we made the tea. We used the little kitty mug. Um, and Tia, that's her name now, remembered that her favorite song was I'm a Little Teapot. And I used to sing this song as a child, like nonstop. I loved that song. I when she started talking about it, I was like, oh my God, I totally remember that. I loved doing the little dance, everything. And so she wanted to sing it. And so we had her sing it. And that was a little surreal. It's always surreal because I still doubt, okay? I do. This person in the very front, right here, this face that you're seeing, the person that you see and you talk to when you meet me, this person is still having trouble accepting that this is a thing, you know? As you might be sitting out there. I don't know. so, um, so when they start talking through my mouth, I never really know what they're going to sound like. And when I began singing, I'm a Little Teapot, I sounded so young. I mean, it was just, I think I started crying, but I'm not entirely sure. Um, she was happy, but I think like tears were still running out of my eyes because it was touching me. This person, not her. Um, the thing is that shortly after that, I don't remember what happened. We were doing something and um, somehow she got some credit for something, or everybody was like, hey, that was a great thing for you to do. And, got a group hug type of thing. And, oh, actually, I think I know what it might have been. It's a little fuzzy for me anymore. I am starting to have memory issues. I actually had one happen today where if I poke hard enough at the moment, I'll get little bits of information, but it's all so far away. This isn't just a me forgetting things. This is it. Oh, it's there. Um, but it's locked behind door number 24. And do you have the key? No. Let me show you through the peephole. That's the kind of thing that it's like. Um, so she grew. Tia went from, I think I've talked about this before, but she basically went from a toddler to a child. And when she did that, the teenagers took over. There's teenage roommates in there, and they took over her care, which was fine. But then that meant Patience was basically out of a job because her whole her whole reason for existence was to protect and take care of little Maria, who is now Tia. So I think Patience was originally just going to try to go as an individual and do her own thing. And then we had the huge trauma of nearly getting kicked out of our house. When that happened, all the kids just disappeared. Boom. Gone. It was a little freaky because, especially since I'd started remembering, they were quite often in the front. I think the people who were there before were adults, and with the big gaps left in the under new management, the kids were coming out and playing. Well, all of a sudden they weren't there, and the adults noticed it. But they weren't the only ones who disappeared. Patience disappeared too. The little blonde girl had definitely been one of the kids, but she always hung in the back. My personal theory is because she was roughly the age of little Maria, maybe slightly older. But I feel like she was a memory holder or a painful emotion holder. since I do not think I have the complete dissociative identity disorder, I do think I still have, because I share memory, like my amnesia is not complete, basically. Um, so I think she held a lot of the really bad memories from those years, and when we nearly got kicked out of the house, that was it was a lot more than she could take. So we believe, or patients told some of us, that basically what happened was that they decided to integrate because that was the only way she could handle what was going on. Like, I think basically she might have, I don't know what happens when an alter stops, or I guess dies. I don't know how that would work. Maybe I should try to find that. So basically what happened was, the new core, we were all kind of going on about, well, what happened to Patience? Well, every time I was thinking of Patience, the name Patricia or Patrice kept coming up. And finally, the new core suggested that Patience and the little blonde girl who we call Jolie, that Patience start taking care of Jolie. But this was like still as two separate alters. Over the course of a conversation with a few of the alters, and I don't think I was really part of this conversation. They kind of filled me in after the fact, so I don't know exactly how it went, but over time it came out that actually there was an integration going on, or it was going to go on. Now, this whole thing, the Patience, Patricia, hey, maybe they should, pair up together, the in-depth conversation, all of this was within a 24-hour period. I kind of was really overwhelmed. It was very, very upsetting. I was just so upset. I made a vlog. I was crying. I couldn't figure out why I was crying. This to me I was so sad, so sad. And a lot of them came out and talked. And then finally, Patience came out and said goodbye. And then shortly after that, I guess I passed out or fell asleep. And then at a certain point, I sat up, or I tried to. I was only semi-conscious. I was trying to sit up. And when I did, I had a visual of like two balloons. These two kind of oval, because they weren't completely round and they weren't the completely long balloons, but they were enfolding each other. And it was a very, very strange, pressurized feeling. And then there was like a pop, and I fell back down. And then I immediately woke up, and I felt very, 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 very disoriented. I mean, so dissociated. So, what's the word? Where the world doesn't feel real. I am blanking on it right now. And that is my Frankers. To worries. Frankles, say hi. Tell them how beautiful you are. Okay. Frankers, I have given her a speech impediment. We don't know why. And that's how she speaks. But then it came out that they'd integrated. Patience was gone. Jolie was actually able to come out. As I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'd realized she would come to the back of the front where I could see her, but she never came out. She actually came out for the first time when we were like, come on out here. We want to meet this new person. Poor thing was just could not speak, but she was there. So that was kind of my big event. It was kind of happy because there's like this new person, and they're not a baby. She is probably around Tia's age, so she's a child, but maybe more of a tween than a child. I'm not really sure. We really haven't seen them very much. So, like I mentioned, Patience leaving has created a huge paradigm shift, because basically Patience held a lot of my spirituality, and the new core has different spirituality. It's not antagonistic, but she is wildly uncomfortable in the world that Patience has built up. There are aspects of it she really likes, and there's other aspects she really doesn't. She also holds my anxieties, so I am a lot less in control of panic attacks, anxiety attacks. I no longer have the chutzpah to look a needle in the eye and go, yeah, sure, that's okay, I can do that, without freaking out. Like I literally just couldn't go get my blood drawn today because she just about lost it. And she's overwhelmed. Like, this was always Patience's job to her. She looked up to Patience. I think everybody did to an extent. And that's probably part of the reason why right now I can't handle anything. So I wanted to vlog about this. I know this has been kind of long. I was kind of hoping to make it shorter because it takes forever to upload. But, and I guess now I'm going to start talking about my altars, because this sort of forced the point. So I could not talk about this. I'm still processing it. So, anyway, if you are enjoying this and you've never watched this before, please like the video, leave me a comment, even if it's just like a thumbs up, subscribe, get notifications, that sort of thing. I'm pretty erratic with my posting so far, kind of as I have time, but I'm hoping to get them out like at least once a week. Okay, well, I hope you're having a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.